On this episode of the Best of Bias podcast, you got me talking some NFL scores from week 3, seeing if our predictions came true. Of course, some of them did, some of them didn't. We had a good week 3. I talk about all the scores, all the highlights and stuff like that. Of course, I'll be predicting week 4 scores and stuff like that as well, seeing if I can get those right, keep my streak alive. Also, I talk about the Best of Bias Invitational Fantasy Football League, how I'm doing in that league and how some of the boys is doing in that league. Of course, I'm not doing too well right now. I'm in 11th out of 12th place, but we'll talk about all that and talk about how it's going to be the comeback story for the ages, you know what I mean? But we also got some pop culture topics to sprinkle in at the end. Ime Udoka and some stuff going on with him in the Celtics, Adam Levine and the side chick drama. Wolverine's going to be in Deadpool, Blade loses director, and Rihanna is going to be performing halftime at Super Bowl 57. So we got a lot to talk about. Thank you for being here. Welcome. It's another, Best of Bias podcast. Happy Friday, first and foremost, man. I almost forget to say that every time, but it's Friday. You made it to the end of the week. So yeah, congratulations on that. You didn't, overstretch yourself. But yeah, it's the Best of Bias podcast where my theme song at. Enjoy.
It's the best of bias. You need the earful. You should try us. From pop culture to the movies to Unitas. It's the best of bias. Your best of bias. Yeah. It's the best of bias.
You are now listening to the Best of Bias podcast with Lydell Dinero and Hugo Twilight.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Best of Bias podcast. It's your boy, Lydell Dinero. Welcome in. Man, it's Friday. We made it. Everybody just pat yourselves on the back, making it to the end of the week, making it to your favorite podcast, push and play on that podcast wherever you listen, in the car, work. If you're watching it on the YouTube, welcome. Sorry about not having the video last week, guys. Me and AKA had a little, technical difficulties, not with the video or nothing like that. We just had some miscommunication and just kind of lost track of time. We both were on vacation, so it got a little messed up, but we are back. It's a beautiful episode, brand new day, brand new Friday, as a matter of fact. And we got some NFL scores from week 3. We're going to see if my predictions came true. My last episode, I predicted the scores and the winners. Not the scores, I'm tripping. Some of the winners that may have come true on week 3. And I told you guys I'm going to remember who I picked, but again, I didn't. Hopefully you guys looked at the video, listened to the podcast. It's a pop quiz for y'all to see if I'm true. I'm telling you, if I'm not, if you guys don't know and didn't listen to the podcast and keep me true to form, I'm going to say I got them all right. So for new listeners, man, I've been making all these picks and I've been getting them all right all season so far through week 3. Listeners, if you're returning from last time, if you know I missed some, got some wrong, whatever. Hey, we welcome back. Let's talk about week 3 because week 3 was crazy. If you watch football like I do on the Red Zone and got fantasy teams, you was watching all the games and you know what happened. So I'm gonna briefly go through week 3. And some of the scores and some of the highlights, some of the players you may have on your fantasy team. Just kind of get into how they did, and if they did good, I'm talking about it. If they did bad, I'm probably gonna talk about that shit too. And if they did okay, I'm probably gonna skip it because we ain't gonna talk about that mediocre shit. I'm either here to praise you or talk about how you did bad, man, how you fucked up somebody's fantasy scores. Because some of my scores have been completely fucked up. Excuse my languages for the younger listeners out there. You probably heard these words before, but that's why I got the explicit on the podcast so you can listen at your own risk. Maybe you got your mom over there that okays you listen to this, but hey. But yeah, my fantasy scores have been kind of skewed, man. I have a great team. I told you guys all about it when we were drafting. Sorry, you guys see me looking over there. I'm trying this double camera thing, get better angles for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Always trying to improve the pod for y'all and try new things. But yeah, my fantasy team, I drafted a great roster. It just seems like the running backs this year aren't performing like they usually do in fantasy, which is kind of changing the outcome of the season. Me personally, I thought I had a really good running back tandem with my fantasy team, which I'll get into later. I'm not gonna get too far into it. But I got Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette. Them alone from their last year's productivity, I should be smashing in my league, but I'm gonna wait until later to tell you my record because I'm not that. Yeah, it's not that good. But let's hop into these scores. We'll talk a little bit about NFL week 4, preview the games with the spreads, and I'll make my predictions on those. I highlighted those to make it easy for me, and I'll be able to remember for the for next week. So I know what I picked last week. I promise you guys I will remember that. But yeah, let's get into these games. Starting with the Thursday night game. I know you guys watched it. I don't know how y'all been liking it, but those games on Amazon Prime, have you guys been liking that? I know it's not on TV. It's kind of weird to have to watch it on Amazon Prime. If you ain't got it, it's kind of fucked up. You can't watch Thursday Night Football. But hopefully you got a homie you can get their password and log in somewhere and watch that shit. But it's been kind of cool. I like being able to watch it on my phone or access it anywhere you can access Amazon Prime, and you get more. So something better, something more of a perk for having Amazon Prime. I actually use VRon's login. Honestly, I don't have my own Amazon Prime. I have Amazon, but I don't have Prime. I had a bad experience back in the day when I was in college. Amazon Prime charged me like $90. I mean, I was a broke college student. I was like, man, why you charge me $90 for Amazon Prime? I was on a free preview. You asked me if I wanted a 2-week trial. I pressed yes, and it automatically charged me $90. I was like, y'all crazy, bro. But anyways, nowadays it's giving you everything you need, grabbing shit and putting it on your doorstep in 2 days. That's crazy. Amazon Prime, Jeff Bezos. I fucks with you. If you want to sponsor the podcast, hey, holla at me. We could talk about it. I need to talk about some Shark Tank on here too. Talk about some business ideas. Maybe you can get a best of bias consulting firm going. Listeners, if you're into that kind of stuff, hit me up in the DMs. We can start a little something, you know what I mean? But without further ado, let me get into these games before I get too distracted. Get you guys to enjoy your Friday. I ain't gonna hold y'all too long. Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Pittsburgh 1-2 now after losing this game 17-29 to the 2-1 Cleveland Browns. This is actually pretty interesting again because Jacoby Brissett is starting, waiting for Deshaun Watson to come off that 11-week suspension, and he's actually doing his thing. We're actually seeing Amari Cooper kind of show his worth now. The Cowboys did trade him for like a 5th or 6th round pick, which is going to be turning out to be pretty crazy if the Browns end up making the playoffs this year without Baker Mayfield, and it was just Baker Mayfield holding them back. If like a quarterback, like a trailblazer like Jacoby Brissett can come in there and hold them above water and actually get them to the playoffs, because that division is going to be kind of hard. But the Cincinnati Bengals aren't looking like they were last year, so the Browns could be a cool second place in that division and actually could win a wild card spot, but I'll get there in a little bit. But Trubisky for the Pittsburgh Steelers is turning out to be really bad. Again, they have really good weapons offensively and have a really good defense over there in Pittsburgh. So I'm sure that their defense is holding teams to a certain extent, but Mitch Trubisky is putting teams in bad places when he's not able to throw the ball deep. He is only able to run the ball, not really able to read defenses as well as he should. So it's kind of holding the Pittsburgh Steelers back. That's why they're 1-2 right now, having Chase Claypool, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris in the backfield, Pat Freiermuth at tight end. There's a bunch of weapons out there in Pittsburgh, but it seems like Mitch Trubisky can't get those weapons open or throw the ball to him at all. And they don't want to put in Kenny Pickett for some reason. Coach Tomlin was really adamant that they're going to keep Mitch Trubisky in and not really going to go to Kenny Pickett. So that's crazy. Again, Cooper had 7 catches, 101 yards, a touchdown. And this is like his second game in a row that he topped 100 yards. So he's really proven to be Jacoby Brissett's go-to guy. We're seeing a lot of what we didn't think Amari Cooper had. A lot of people thought that he was leaving the Cowboys and was going to be washed up, especially because Deshaun Watson wasn't playing. But he is actually showing he is the number one receiver. He is the route god out there. He is one of the top receivers that running routes. I mean, behind Devontae Adams, I think it's probably Amari Cooper when it comes to running routes, because that boy be chopping people up. And he might not be the fastest receiver, but he gets open. And that's all you really need. I mean, when you have a running back like Nick Chubb, who's constantly going out there rushing for like 2-3 touchdowns a game. This game, he had 23 rushes for 113 yards and a touchdown. Last game, he had 3 touchdowns. So as long as Amari Cooper can, contribute a little bit, David Njoku can keep being a contributor a little bit. A lot of stuff can happen. You never know what could happen. So I think they can keep treading water and get to where they need to be until Deshaun Watson comes back week 11 and does some stuff for him. But yeah, in this game, George Pickens did have one of the catches of the year. People are saying it's better than Odell's catch. He had like a one-hander, reached all the way back, one-handed it on him. But yeah, it wasn't enough. Najee Harris only had 57 yards. He had a touchdown though, but that line over there in Pittsburgh is still pretty bad. So maybe that's hindering Mitch Trubisky a little bit. But I still think that it's time for Kenny Pickett to actually go out there, because I think he can throw a lot better than Trubisky. He can probably read the defense a lot better than Trubisky. And he's a Pittsburgh native. Well, he played at the University of Pittsburgh. So the fans are probably clamoring for him to get a chance, and they'll probably be behind him when he does get a chance. So I don't know if they're protecting him because they see some stuff at practice that says he's not ready. But I think it's time to give him a chance if you guys are going to keep losing the teams that you should beat, because your schedule is going to get a little harder. I know they play us down the road, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so they need to get it together and pretty quick. The next game, Bills 2-1 played Miami, which was a really good game, who are 3-0 now because they beat the Bills 21-19. There's a lot of shit going on in this game, starting with the butt punt. The kicker kicked the ball into the back of the personal protector's butt in the back of the end zone, getting a safety. We never seen that before. It might have been worse than the Mark Sanchez butt fumble. Who knows? We had Tua getting slammed into the. I don't know if it was turf. It was probably grass, but he hit his head, got up, and was hella wobbly, fell back down. Everybody thought he had a concussion. They took him back to the locker room, checked him out, and they said it was like a back injury. So he was able to play when it was clearly a head injury. It was crazy. I think the Dolphins with those receivers, again, I talked about it last episode, they can do anything they want to do. I mean, if Tua can't really throw it down the field or beat somebody deep, he doesn't really have to because the cushion that every cornerback's going to give Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill isn't going to be easy for like a easy 5-yard in, any kind of curl, slants, and they're good in space. So they can take one of those to the house easy. Or, I mean, if he does want to throw something deep, all he has to do is wait for Tyreek Hill or Waddle to burn somebody deep 10 yards off the line of scrimmage, and they can just throw it to him wide open. And he doesn't have to be super accurate because either they're going to catch it in the end zone if you throw it too far, or if you throw it short, they'll be so far in front of somebody that they can slow down, catch it, and still have hella 5-10 yards between them and the next defender to actually get something or just sit down and not get touched. So it's a lot of shit the Dolphins could do. They have some running backs that are shifty, Mostert and who is it, Chase Edmonds now. So they can do a lot that doesn't force Tua to do too much, So as long as he stays healthy and they don't have to use Teddy Bridgewater, I think they can be all right. They're 3-0 now, and they play the Bengals next, which I think they can handle. If they beat the Bills, who was smacking everybody, I think they'll be all right. Josh Allen threw the ball 63 times, which is pretty crazy. Man, they threw the ball over there. He went 42 of 63, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 47 yards rushing. Again, I hope he stays healthy because they do run him a lot. And he does run the ball. I think he has the green light to run the ball whenever he wants to. So he puts himself in danger a lot, which is kind of crazy. So as long as he stays healthy, the Bills do have a shot at getting to the championship. I don't know about winning that shit, but getting there. And I feel like, I don't know. Just stay healthy because Diggs is already kind of banged up. Gabe Davis is already kind of banged up. The running backs, you have a lot of running backs over there. A good 3-headed monster type deal over there, but nobody is super, super good. So if anybody gets banged up there, they could be in dire straits. They got a bunch of defensive players that are hurt already, some linemen that are hurt. So all that pedal to the metal in the beginning of the season can be a detriment to them later if they don't kind of like hone it in and get everything together and just kind of like chill on the razzle dazzle. We believe you guys. We see that you guys are a contender for the playoffs, for the championship. Now just kind of chill out and see what you got. Play it safe because, man, by the middle of the season, everybody's going to be hurt and you're going to have a Ravens season if you guys don't do it smartly. Next game, Cincinnati versus the Jets. The Cincinnati Bengals won 27-12. Joe Flacco came back down to earth. Joe Burrow and the Bengals are still kind of struggling. Jamar Chase, he fumbled once in the game. I was playing him in fantasy this week, so he didn't really score until the end of the game. T. Higgins, coming off a concussion, got blasted, and I don't know if he went into concussion protocols, but he did get blasted and looked like he got taken out of the game again. But I don't know if he came back or not. But man, it was ugly. But Taj Boyd, they have a 3-headed monster at receiver over there, so they have a bunch of people who, if one isn't able to pick up the slack, there's another guy out there that can. Joe Burrow, I don't know. They're not blocking for him. That offensive line they spent a whole bunch of money on it, but he's constantly getting sacked and having to run for his life, which is making it harder for him to get the ball to his receivers or give it to Joe Mixon to have him run the ball either, because they paid a whole bunch of money for this line and they're just kind of like acting like matadors right now and just olaying all the linemen to come through and just sack the quarterback. And Joe Burrow's coming off of 2 knee injuries, so he can't be getting sacked like that. He went 23 for 36, 275 yards and 3 touchdowns. Taj Boyd, 4 catches, 105 yards, touchdown. T. Higgins went 5 for 93. And it just, like I said, he got hit twice, and I hope he didn't get another concussion because seasons or careers actually can get shortened by too many head injuries. We saw players retire early because the head injuries that they sustained during these games, especially at receiver, because sometimes you have to be that receivers that put yourself in susceptible positions to get smacked and get head injuries. And though it's a flag, you still have to take those hits, and that shit still hurts. So That's crazy. Shout out to the Bengals. They're still only 1-2, but at least they're back on track. And the Jets kind of just, like I said, reverted back to the mean. Joe Flacco's Joe Flacco. Zach Wilson's supposed to be able to come back this week, and hopefully we get to see the emergence of Elijah Moore again. It's been a lot of Garrett Wilson, the rookie out of Ohio State, as of late. And we saw a little bit of Corey Davis in the last couple of weeks. So maybe Zach Wilson coming back, he can spread the ball a little bit more around. We'll see Brees Hall get some burn, and Michael Carter get back in the mix, and maybe the Jets can win some games. But the Jets are 1-2 as well. Then we have who we have here. We have the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Tennessee Titans. This game personally made me hella mad. The Titans won 24-22. I just don't understand why the Raiders can't finish games. I have Derek Carr as my starting quarterback. And it's just some of the shit that happens during the course of the game. It's just like you get high hopes at the beginning, and then towards the end of the game, they just let you down, yo. I can't imagine if I was a Raiders fan how I would feel, but just me having him as my quarterback for the last couple of weeks is just throwing me through the ringer. I'm like, oh my gosh. Just little Yeah, just little interceptions that happen here and there. It might not be his fault every time. This one in particular, it wasn't. It went right through Waller's hands into the defender's hands. Those deflections are pretty fucked up. They're always end up being the receiver's fault for the ball going through the hands, tipping it to the other guy, but they don't have that in the stat book. They don't have receivers causing interceptions in the stat book. So it always goes towards the quarterback, and it's sorry for them, but it is what it is, and it is kind of fucked up. But Derek Carr did have a slight weight good game. That means kind of good game. 26, if you can put the definition up there somewhere for me, AK, I appreciate that. Slight weight up there. If not, it's cool too. I won't make you work too much. Derek Carr went 26 for 44, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that interception, which was fucked up. They did end up losing. They almost came back, but they didn't get the 2-point conversion. I can relate to that. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the Buccaneers game. God damn it. But yeah, it was crazy. Mac Hollins came out of nowhere, man. Last couple of games, he's been balling. This game, he went 8 for 158 yards, which he probably will never do again, but that was wild. It was wild for 1 touchdown. And the touchdown he did catch was wild. It was 1-on-1. They needed that to win the game in the last couple seconds of the game. Threw a fade to him. He just mossed the DB. It was crazy. Just over his head like he was Calvin Johnson, like he was Julio Jones, like he was a Mike Evans. I should have said him first. But yeah, it was wild. But they weren't able to get that 2-point conversion, and they ended up losing. Raiders 0-3. Tennessee is 1-2. New Orleans, they lost to, who did they play? They played the Carolina Panthers. They lost 22-14, which I'm happy about. Those Saints, every time they can lose a game, makes me happy. I mean, I like Jameis Winston, I really do, but I don't know why he decided to go to the New Orleans Saints. That's kind of like Travis Dye going to the USC, you know what I'm saying? I fucks with you, but I can't cheer for you because you went to our rival team, and you knew it was our rival, so it kind of hurts me a little more that you would do that. Make your money, Jameis. I feel it. They gave you a chance, but it's like, damn, you joined the rival team and you're going to let them talk smack about us and join the smack talk. You know what I'm saying? That's why Devin White had to go off on you after we beat you like that and talk shit about you turning the ball over because you joined the enemy, joined Cam Jordan, who else? And all those other bums over there talking shit about us every week. Every time they beat us, they think they won the championship. Actually, let me not go off. Let me just get into this game. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. Man, I could have fucked the Saints. Yeah. So Jameis Winston, Jameis gone Jameis. I wrote that down here. Sorry, bro. I had to say it. He went 25 for 41, 353 yards. He can throw the ball, but he also had 2 interceptions. He's looking for Chris Olave. He found a new favorite receiver. Chris Olave got like 4.3 speed, so he can beat pretty much any corner in the league, but it's just like Jameis kind of like locks into him and kind of like puts himself in weird positions because, there'll be somebody rushing at him and he'll be so locked in on Olave, he won't even focus on the person rushing at him, and he'll still throw it regardless of being hit or not. And it's either hit or miss. Either he'll get the ball, catch it for a long gain, or the ball go way out of bounds, or the ball get intercepted. So Olave did have a game this game. He went for, let's see here, 9 for 147. I don't think he scored a touchdown, but Traquan Smith went 4 for 105. Kamara got off to a slow start this game, or for this season, actually, with the suspension looming. He has a rib injury right now. He only had 61 yards, and he did fumble. Christian McCaffrey finally tops 100 yards, 25 carries, though. I don't really think that's efficient enough. 25 carries to get 108 yards. You know what I mean? It's cool, but it's like, man, we need more, man. I don't want Baker Mayfield to come to the Panthers and ruin this lucky shot that I had at getting Christian McCaffrey early. I mean, late actually in the draft, man. I'm telling you, I got him at number 8, and I was so happy about it. But now the fact that I have to endure Baker Mayfield going over there to try to throw deep bombs to people that he can't throw to, throwing interceptions, not handing it off to Christian McCaffrey, not dumping it off and checking it down to Christian McCaffrey like he should. It's just wild to see, man. We're seeing now that it wasn't Odell, it wasn't Jarvis Landry, it wasn't the coaches. Baker Mayfield is out here being Baker Mayfield and ruining Christian McCaffrey, ruining DJ Moore, and it's just not good, man. Do something about that. Sam Darnold, if you can come back and just save me, come on, Sam. Save your boy. I can't endure this no more. Baker ain't it. You know, he ain't gonna play patty cake somewhere, young Bakers, man. The fuck. Anyways, yeah, the Saints are 1-2, which I like, and the Panthers are 1-2 as well, as I like. Stay down there. Baltimore beat New England 37-26, which is a crazy game. Lamar Jackson balling, didn't accept that contract, didn't sign on the dotted line with the Ravens this year. He said, "No, I want more money. I want that guaranteed loot, more than Deshaun Watson. I want 300 million guaranteed." And he said he's gonna bet on himself, and he has been. Lamar, he went 18 for 29, 218 passing yards with 4 touchdowns, with 11 rushes for 107 yards and another touchdown, which was 5 touchdowns. And he scored at least 4 touchdowns in the first 3 games. So yeah, he's just showing the team that he deserves the money that he's asking for. He balled out against Bill Belichick's defense. I don't know. Mac Jones again struggling. He went 22 for 3. Oh, actually, he went 22 or 32, 321, but he had 3 interceptions and had a high ankle sprain. So he's out there throwing it around, but he is not being very accurate. I mean, I'm sure the receivers can't really get open. They only really have Devontae Parker. He went 5 for 156 yards with a 31 yard catch average. But it's like, I don't think they have people that can really do what Mac Jones needs them to do. So he's hurt, so I think they're gonna have to go with Brian Hoyer this week against a who are they playing? Playing Green Bay, and their defense is coming. They have been pretty good the last couple of weeks. Last week against us, Tampa, they did do pretty good. And the last couple of weeks before that, they've been doing pretty good. So they shut down. I think they shut down the Vikings. I think that's what happened, or did it? Yeah, I think that's what happened. No, or did the Vikings go off against them? I'm not too sure, but I'll get to that game in a little bit because Zaire Alexander is out with a groin for a while. But yeah, Baker went 12 for 25, 170 yards and 1 touchdown. So he didn't really do too well. Sorry, that was the last game. I'm sorry, I'm tripping. We're talking about Baltimore, New England now. But yeah, Dobbins actually came and played this game. He's been hurt. His knee injury was worse than we actually suspected, so he was out longer than we suspected. He just now actually got some burn week 3. He went 7 for 23, not much there. They have a bunch of running backs that they run over there, so they kind of probably had him on a snap count, so he didn't go out there and get hurt, just trying to get a feel for it and seeing how he felt. Mark Andrews, 8 for 89, a touchdown. This fool is just too good. I had him last year on my fantasy team, and he won me the league with that. Just being Lamar Jackson's go-to guy. He's either going to get open on a deep pass, get open in the red zone, or just take a shovel pass right into the end zone like he did this game. It was wild. But the Baltimore Ravens were able to win. They got back in the positive standings. They're 2-1 now. New England Patriots are 1-2, and it was a good game. Detroit, speaking of good game, this was a pretty close game as well. Detroit lost to the Minnesota Vikings 28-24. You know, the Lions have been kind of there, been very competitive all year, but they can't really close. And there's been a lot of close games, but they haven't really been able to close them out. Kirk Cousins went 24 for 41, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook actually came out and did his thing this game, 7 for 96 and 17 carries for 96 yards and a touchdown. Adam Thielen went 6 for 61, caught his touchdown. I think he scored like his 50th touchdown with the Vikings. I think maybe it might have been a team record or something like that. It was something kind of like a special because they stopped the game for a little bit and talked a little bit about it. So shout out him for doing that. KJ Osborne, I did see him catch a clutch touchdown, 5 for 73 and a touchdown. Jared Goff is out there throwing a thing around. Pause. Jared Goff, 25 for 41, 277, a touchdown, and interception. Amon-Ra St. Brown, continues to be that number one receiver for him, 6 for 73, but they weren't able to come out with that victory. The Minnesota Vikings moved to 2-1. Detroit Lions are 1-2. Eagles 3-0 play the Washington Commanders 1-2. They handled them 24-8. Man, Devontae Smith went crazy in this game, and Jalen Hurts is showing everybody that in the offseason he is doing stuff to improve his game. I told you guys that Jalen Hurts is one of those players who, even though he may do bad, he wasn't the pocket quarterback that everybody suspected he'd be. Or wanted him to be in the beginning of his career, but he is one of those quarterbacks that even if he's not good at something at the beginning, he's going to try, work hard, and he's going to show you that he's improved the next season. He did it after he moved from Alabama to Oklahoma, and I personally was saying on the podcast, his first year in Philly, people were saying like, nah, he's not going to be the quarterback for them. I knew that after he took a year or something to get comfortable, got in the gym, worked with the coaches, came to California, worked with one of the quarterback gurus out here to help him. I don't know exactly the name of that guy, but I heard that he went to a quarterback guru out here and got his throwing mechanics right. And you can see it, throwing 50-yard bomb touchdowns, putting the ball in the money to Devonta Smith and AJ Brown, which is proven to be a crazy tandem out there. The running backs are starting to get off, Gainwell and Miles Sanders. Let me get into these stats real quick. Jalen Hurts went 22 for 35, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 20 rushing yards himself. Devonta Smith went 8 for 169 yards and 1 touchdown, 21-yard average on those catches. AJ Brown went 5 for 85, 1 touchdown. And yeah, it was just crazy. The Commanders had no chance. They had 2 points for a while in the game, and they ended up scoring a touchdown. Terry McLaurin actually topped 100 yards, 6 for 102. Yeah, and that Eagles defense is looking scary, man, especially for teams who are not as good or not as talented as the Eagles are now. They're going to be able to shut those teams out and handle those teams like good teams should. It's good seeing that NFC East kind of flip and have another team that's actually in power now. Let's see how they are when they actually play against the Cowboys, because that defense is pretty good. We'll get into the Cowboys in a little bit, I'm sure. But yeah, man, it's interesting to see how the Eagles have improved, how Jalen Hurts has improved, and how with AJ Brown, one of his good friends on the team, it opens up stuff for Devonta Smith. And AJ Brown is still showing that he's a true number one receiver. Next, we had Kansas City losing to the Indianapolis Colts. They're 0-1-1, and they got to win against the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the betters and the NFL heads' favorite teams right now. They're 2-1 now. The Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, I can't keep saying that word. Went to 1-1-1. They won 20-17. It's just interesting to see Patrick Mahomes without Tyreek Hill now. It's like he has to kind of like find somebody else to kind of make the big play. He doesn't really have that now. He has to pick and choose and watch people get open. There's not really much separation like there was with Tyreek Hill, him on the Dolphins now. So, Valdez Scantling, Juju Smith, McCole Hardman, who is it? Sky Moore. All these guys aren't as explosive as Tyreek Hill was, and they can't really roll up coverage on any of these guys, and they won't. So it's like all these other guys can't really get open like they could when Tyreek Hill was on the field. Travis Kelce is going to do his thing regardless, but he's not going to be able to get open again as much as he would when Tyreek Hill was out there to stretch the field and open up gaps and open up zones for Tyreek Hill just to sit down in. So it's going to be interesting to see. He still balled out. It wasn't really his fault. Mahomes, he went 20 for 35, 262, an interception and a touchdown. He led the team in rushing, which is not a good thing. Clyde, Edwards-Helaire only had, he had zero yards on 7 rushes, which is terrible. Like I said, Patrick Mahomes led the team in rushing with 26 yards. Matt Ryan went 27 for 37, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns. Michael Pittman came back from an injury last week. He didn't play. He went for 8 for 72 yards. Jonathan Taylor went 21 for 71 yards, which is terrible, man. That line's not performing like they used to. Matt Ryan is not turning out to be, the quarterback that they thought he would be, but he still can slang that thing. Pause. Damn, why am I on that today? But he was able to go out there and get the victory. Patrick Mahomes did throw a costly interception that did lose in the game. We saw him in Eric Bieniemy on the sidelines getting into that argument. Patrick Mahomes wanted to go for the touchdown at the end of the half. Eric Bieniemy wanted to just kick the field goal. Him knowing that they don't have Tyreek Hill again, they can't really hit on the explosive plays like they always used to be able to. So they wanted them to be able to at least come out of the half with points. You know how it goes with that. And I see a little frustration on the sidelines of the Kansas City Chiefs for the first time. And we're going to see how it turns out because they play the Buccaneers this week. And firstly, I should have shouted out this first, but shout out to everybody out there in Florida, in the South that are in the wakes of Hurricane Ian and dealing with all that. Hope you guys were able to evacuate and out there finding shelter and it's safe. Because that is crazy. It's almost at Category 5 now. I know it's going to go through Tampa. They moved the team to Miami to practice and stuff like that. And I think they're moving the game that was supposed to be in Tampa this Sunday night to Minnesota. So prayers out to all the families and everybody out there in Florida, anybody in the eye of that storm, anywhere the storm is, whoever's affected by the storm. I know Cuba was hit. And there's a lot of southern states that are in the wake of that storm. So hope you guys are all safe, finding shelter, and those who weren't able to make it out because it got too crazy. Hope you guys are able to find shelter there and find areas to where you can able to stay safe and stay out of that water, because I know they put out warnings about animals and stuff being in the water trying to find shelter too. So you probably have an alligator in your living room or something crazy like that. Stay somewhere high above that water. You never know what's in there. But yeah, prayers out to them and hope everything is good with the families and everything like that. But moving on, just a quick score for this game. I'm not going to talk too much about it because not too much happened. Houston lost to the Bears 23-20. Khalil Herbert, 20 rushes, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns. Montgomery got hurt. We don't know when he's going to come back, but I'm not going to talk too much about that game. Moving right along, we had Jacksonville beating the Los Angeles Chargers 38-10. Jacksonville is now 2-1. Chargers are 1-2. Houston is 0-2-1 now, and Chicago is 2-1 with the victory over Houston. But we actually are seeing the Jacksonville Jaguars put something out there that we didn't see when they're under Urban Meyer. They're showing some guts, man. They're out there beating people that we thought are going to be, Super Bowl favorites or just favorites in their divisions. They beat the the Chargers 38-10. Lawrence went 28, Trevor Lawrence, that is, call him Big Trev, 28 for 39, 262 yards, 3 touchdowns. Brian Roberts, what's his name? James Robinson. Excuse me, man. I probably called you something crazy last time too. Your name is James. And I'm going to respect that because James Robinson's coming off an Achilles injury and going crazy. This is his second game, I think, with almost 100 yards. I think last game he had like in the 90s, but he had a touchdown. And this game he had a long touchdown run as well. 17 for 100 yards and a touchdown. Welcome back, young man. We thought it was going to be the ETN show with him coming back off that Achilles injury. And we knew, or people were saying, I've been hearing all about it. No running back or no athlete at all, or football player, I should say, has came back from an Achilles and actually performed like they did before they got injured. And man, James Robinson is showing that maybe he is the exception to the rule there, because he is balling out and making ETN take the back seat. And the trio of receivers out there in Jacksonville are turning out to be pretty tight. Zay Jones, they have, who else they got over there? Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, and the other Jones. Is it Marvin Jones? Zay Jones went 10 for 85 in a touchdown. Christian Kirk went 6 for 72 in a touchdown. And Marvin Jones even went 10 for 85 in a touchdown. So he's passing the ball around. They're all like they're not super good receivers, but they all have talent. You know what I mean? And there's 3 of them. So all 3 of them makes a tandem of receivers that you don't know who's going to get hot. And they all are really fast. Marvin Jones may not be as fast as, actually, I know Zay Jones may not be fast either, but I know Christian Kirk got some wheels on him. In games, at least his game speed is crazy. But with all those receivers, good running backs, and a good offensive line, and just something for Trevor Lawrence to have in his arsenal is showing that it's going to be great. They're probably going to win their division. They're 2-1 now. Unluckily for Justin Herbert, he did come back and play with that rib injury. He went 25 for 45, 297 yards, 1 interception, and 1 touchdown. He was being a trooper, and he's going to keep on playing hurt, but it's just getting tougher and tougher for him, just for the fact that he's going to be injured. His left tackle torn biceps, so he's going to be out for the season. Star left tackle. One of his receivers, Guyton, tore his ACL, so that's another one of his weapons that are going to be out. Keenan Allen's been out with the hamstring injury, so that already kind of lightened his load at receiver. So we don't know really what's going to happen. We haven't really heard much about Eckler. And with that lineman being out, one of their best linemen, it's going to be tough for them to run the ball. So we're going to see what's going on with the Clippers over the season. But it's looking like after being one of my favorites for that division, I mean, it looks like either the Chiefs or the Broncos are 2-1 now too. So who knows what's going to happen with them? Their offenses look trash. But yeah, that was that game. The Jacksonville Jaguars did win 38-10. Who was a really big sleeper on the season. Betters out there. Since the odds are kind of low right now for them, you better go put some money on the Jags because they're looking like the truth. Next, we have the Rams versus the Arizona Cardinals. Rams won 20-12, moving to 2-1. The Arizona Cardinals are now 1-2. Stafford had a bit of a bounce back game. He went 18 for 25 with 249 yards, throwing 2 touchdown passes, I believe. One to Cup and one was to Akers. Akers might have been a rushing touchdown, so he might have had 1 touchdown. I don't know, man. It's just what the Rams are showing right now to me is not what I saw last year. I've seen a lot of dominance last year when they had a bunch of those star players on defense. The defense is susceptible to some big plays this year. Jalen Ramsey is really good, don't get me wrong, but I think sometimes he can get beat, and they don't really have that much help on the other side. So having to shadow the best receiver all game sometimes can be a detriment to him. I don't know if he actually does shadow the best receiver all the time, but their defense, bottom line, defense wasn't as good as last year. Stafford is targeting Cup a lot. We're seeing him throw the ball to Cup a lot. We're not really seeing Allen Robinson a lot. We're seeing Higbee a lot, some Skoranek, but the offense isn't what it used to be. The running backs aren't really doing what they used to be able to do. We're seeing a lot of these teams that are really inferior, supposed to be inferior to the Rams, are coming back on them and almost beating them in the end of the games. So it's interesting to see. Kyler Murray went 37 for 58, 314 yards. Hollywood Brown went 14 for 140 and a touchdown. Greg Dortch, who is the receiver, kind of picking up the slack because AJ Green got hurt last game, waiting for Deshaun Hopkins to come back. He went 9 for 80 yards. And Arizona didn't complete the comeback this week, but they're giving everybody a challenge until they do get their guys back, and hopefully when they do, they are able to, pick up some steam out there in the NFC West. But right now they're 1-2 with the 49ers. I think the Rams are 2-1 now, and the Seattle Seahawks are 1-2. So I think, they're in control of that division right now. But they got to get better. Now we're talking about Tampa Bay versus the Green Bay Packers. Man, we lost 14-12, but this game, man, was not really it wasn't us. It was an anomaly, I would say, because in the first half they came out and they were slaying us. Aaron Rodgers looked like he can do whatever he wanted to do. Romeo Doubs, Alan Lazard, and these receivers were like kind of chopping us up in the first quarter and a half. They went up 14-0 pretty quick on us. But our offense was struggling. What was going on. We had Mike Evans out on suspension. Chris Godwin was out with the hamstring injury. We had Julio Jones out with the PCL injury. He had partially torn PCL. He was a game time decision, and he decided to sit out. So we didn't have no receivers. Our receivers were Cole Beasley, who we signed off the street merely a couple of days ago. 4 days of practice with Tom Brady, and we threw him out there. We had Rashard Perriman, Russell Gage out there, and Scotty Miller out there running routes. If they don't sound familiar to you, that's because there are 4th, 5th, 6th receivers out there running for Tom Brady. Everybody keyed in on Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette actually ran the ball and was able to run the ball a lot last week against who he played. I forgot who he played week 2. The Saints. We're able to run the ball against the Saints effectively since we weren't really throwing the ball since our receivers were out. They were able to shut that down a little bit. Green Bay was. So Tom Brady had to make some plays to receivers who don't usually make plays for us and aren't used to making plays. We fumbled the ball twice in, situations where we were pushing the ball down the field. Tom Brady was making plays. We made a field goal down there in the red zone, but we weren't finishing drives in the red zone. That's one of our things that's been going on this season. We weren't able to finish drives in the red zone when we get there. We're starting a 3rd string left tackle because Donovan Smith hurt his elbow, hyperextended. He should be coming back this week, but he wasn't there this week. So we're running with him and a first time starting center. We drafted him at guard, and he's playing center for the first time, his 3rd game starting. So we're going to have some trouble there. And that mixed with not having receivers made it really hard for us to score points. We weren't able to do that. And our defense is really good, but we let them score points early, so they got ahead early. We shut them down in the whole second half. They weren't able to score any points. They scored 0 points in the second half, but we weren't able to muster enough points to come back and win the game. We actually did come back towards the end, scored a touchdown to make it 12-14. During the 2 point conversion, our offense kind of fucked up and got a delay of game, pushing it from the two-yard line to the 7-yard line. We tried to run a play. The play clock was almost all the way out again, and we rushed the play and we didn't get the 2 point conversion, so we lost 14-12. And it kind of just proved to us that, me personally, that we can win games kind of light at receiver until everybody gets healthy. It's just because our defense is incredible. They've been shutting everybody down. Last year, a lot of our corners were hurt, so we weren't able to hold anybody to anything. Nobody was able to run on us last year at all. And everybody was able to throw on us because we were down to our third, fourth, fifth string corner. So it's kind of a flip of this year. Last year, instead of our receivers all being hurt, it was all of our corners being hurt. So this year we do have our corners, and we actually signed some DBs that can shut down everybody's receivers. It's just that everybody has to get comfortable in, the flow of the games. You have to get your feet wet and just see how our offense plays. After we figured that out and shut them down the whole second half, our offense wasn't able to get enough points to actually be able to come back and finish the victory. Aaron Rodgers said he saw something on a jumbo screen, a jumbotron, that was able to let the Packers know what to do to stop them, but I don't believe that shit. But yeah, we lost the game, but it did give me hope, just because everybody's saying that the Packers are going to be such a great team, and for us to only hold them to 14 points and actually almost still win the game without our receivers, or I don't know if we would have won in overtime, but Tom Brady can do anything in overtime. But I'm just saying, for us to hold them to what we held them to and to almost come back and tie the game and go into overtime shows that we can, hold the ship together until everybody comes back. And when everybody does come back, we'll be crazy, and the offense will get back right on track, and then we'll just win some shit. But for now, everybody get healthy. It was a cool game. Next week is our last kind of like hardish game, and then our schedule kind of lightens up when we get some less tough teams. We got to take care of Kansas City. We'll talk about that. We're not getting no week 4 predictions and spreads and shit like that. But yeah, we did lose. We're 2-1 now, and the Green Bay Packers are 2-1. In hindsight, we are 2-1. We still got to beat the Dallas Cowboys and the Saints, giving us 2 games ahead. So we have a couple of games to get everything right and kind of like fill out our team, but we got to get all the wins we want. We need to get that number 1 seed, because that's what we pushing for this year. Anyways, let's move on. Atlanta Hawks beat the Seahawks 27-23. Atlanta moves to 1-2. Seahawks are 1-2. The highlights of this game: Cordero Patterson, 17 carries for 141 yards. He's getting off. Pitts got involved. Finally, 5 catches for 87 yards after saying he wasn't worried about not getting involved because he knew his time will come. Atlanta actually won the game. He was involved, so that proves a little something. So get him involved a little bit more, and maybe he'll win some more games. You know what I'm saying? Next, we had San Francisco against Denver, which is an ugly ass game. Denver won 11-10. San Francisco 1-2. Denver moves to 2-1. Jimmy G making some crazy mistakes. He stepped out of the back of the end zone, fumble once, threw an interception. The stepping out of the back of the end zone is crazy. That's just this spatial awareness. He just stepped out of the back and gives this hand to the team other like 2 points. Again, Russell Wilson is struggling in that offense over there in Denver. It's just tough to see. He does have a bunch of weapons out there at receiver, got some weapons out there at running back. The offense should be running smooth and doing way better than it is. They paid him $250 million, man. You guys should have that figured out by now. It's week 3. You guys have plenty of time off season all together doing that shit, so you guys should be good right now. Hopefully it picks up, because I do have Cortland Sutton on my fantasy team. We need him to do a lot better. But yeah, Dallas in the last game, I think it was Monday Night Football game, they actually won with Cooper Rush 23-16, moving to 2-1. The undefeated Giants are actually 2-1 now. It was in New York. The Giants were on a high. They thought they were going to be able to come out there with Daniel Jones and hold Cooper Rush to something light. They actually kind of did. He only had 215 yards and a touchdown. Cooper Rush. Pollard and Zeke were showing a little thunder and lightning out there. Pollard went for 13 and 105. Zeke had 15 for 73 and a touchdown. And I think that's what we're going to see a lot more of now. It's going to be a lot less of Zeke being that feature back and being that number 1 back. And it's going to be more so Pollard doing some stuff, Zeke doing some stuff, probably getting the goal line carries. If Pollard breaks out and does a lot of the receiving stuff, they'll keep him in during a drive to kind of help them get to where they need to be while Zach is out. And it helps them win games. So I think they should have done that a long time ago. And it sucks for like fantasy owners for Zeke, because he might not get those carries that help you like dominate in the season. And I see you making that trade, Derek. Man, we'll talk about that in a little bit when it comes to fantasy as well, because man, that trade is looking better and better in your favor the more that I think about it. But um, yeah, CD Lamb had some ups and downs this game. He dropped some passes, but he did go 8 for 87 with a touchdown. He had a crazy one-handed catch in the back of the end zone. But he does drop a lot of passes, man. He does need to catch all those passes that are thrown. He had one wide open pass that he could have taken to the house, or at least had a really big game, but he dropped it. So people are not going to take him seriously as that number one type of receiver until he's actually able to make all those catches and show that he is that number one guy, not only from college that he can do it, but he can do it in the NFL as well. But shouts out to the Cowboys holding it down with Cooper Rush for the last 2 games. Cooper Rush 3-0 in his starting career. So yeah, that's all for that. But yeah, that's week 3 for you. Again, I didn't really keep track of my stats or what I picked again. So listeners, go back and check out episode 133 and let me know what happened on there, if I got my shit right, if I got it wrong. But this week I'm keeping track. I promise you guys, I'll come out next week and let you guys know if I got it wrong, because I highlighted it. I highlighted on this sheet here. I put everything on there to let y'all know if I got it right, if I got it wrong, for real this time. But week 4 is upon us, starting with the Thursday night football game. It got a little spicy in the interview, the pregame interview with Tyreek Hill. I guess he owes Eli Apple a touchdown or an embarrassing moment or something like that, because he was talking a whole bunch of mess in the AFC Championship game when the Bengals beat the Chiefs. He thought he shut Tyreek Hill down. So Tyreek Hill says he has a little something to prove. It has a little something for Eli Apple in this Thursday night game, and hopefully he does. Hopefully it's a ploy to get everybody to triple team Tyreek Hill, quadruple team him, so Waddle can be wide open and get 40 points again, because I still regret having Waddle on my bench and scoring 40 points on my goddamn bench. I'm starting him every week now, so let's see what we can do. Please. They are favored by 2.5. Oh, actually, no, they're in Cincinnati, and Cincinnati is favored by 2.5, which is pretty crazy. Of course, I'm gonna take Miami in this game. Hopefully, Tua can play. He did get hurt a little bit, at least shaken up in the last game. We thought it was a concussion. They said it was just a back injury, but he did end up on the injury report with the ankle. So we don't know if he's actually gonna play. We don't know if he's gonna. It's gonna be Teddy Bridgewater, but yeah. Maybe that's why they got Cincinnati at a 2.5 point favorite, because they think Teddy Bridgewater is going to start, or they're going to, start an injured Tua. But yeah, I think Miami's going to win that game, and I hope Waddle gets off. Hope they both get off, and Tyreek Hill gets his get back on Eli Apple. The London game is going to be 6 o'clock in the morning for everybody here in California, at least on the West Coast. I don't know what it's going to be for y'all on the East Coast, but it's a London game. It's going to be Minnesota at New Orleans. I guess New Orleans is the home team. Minnesota's favored by 2.5, though. I mean, I don't think Jameis plays really well overseas. I woke up 6 o'clock in the morning to watch him play in Germany or London. It might have been the London game when he played for the Buccaneers. That boy threw a pick 6 on the first play. I'm gonna wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to watch the game. I ain't gonna front, but it's like, bruh, it's not gonna be good for the Saints. I don't know why they put so much stock into Jameis Winston. I know he was good in college. I know I talk him up a little bit. He got a little place in my heart because we drafted him number 1. But it's like, bruh, he's going Jameis. Jameis is going to Jameis. But that's why I'm gonna leave it at that. I got Minnesota in that game. I feel like they're gonna win by more than 2 points. Cleveland at Atlanta. I got Cleveland winning that game. They're favored by 2 points, but Atlanta's on a little high right now, but Cleveland, I think the emergence of Amari Cooper and their defense over there. First, I forgot to mention prayers out to Myles Garrett. He did get in a car accident. They said he was avoiding an animal on the road and his car flipped several times. So he has a couple of injuries. So he's not gonna be able to play this week, but prayers out to him. Luckily, he made it out of it safe. No life-threatening injuries, just some minor injuries. So prayers up to him. Speedy recovery for him. But Cleveland, I do think they're going to win that game. Buffalo at Baltimore, it's going to be a really good game. I do not know who's going to win this game. This is a straight up pick 'em for me. Baltimore is favored by 3.5 points at home. I guess they can pick Baltimore in this game just because of the injuries that Buffalo does have. I don't know if Stephon Diggs is going to be 100%. Again, we know Diggs is Gabe Davis, is already kind of banged up. He was banged up last week, and I think he's still kind of banged up. Was kind of still banged up this week. So Baltimore by 3.5. I think Lamar keeps that thing going. He has something to prove. I don't know if he's scores 5 touchdowns or is contributing to 5 touchdowns this week, but I think they do sneak out a victory. Maybe J.K. Dobbins has a game in this game and shows that he is back, and it's going to be a tough slug him out running game. So let's see what's going on with that. Next, we got Washington at Dallas. Dallas is favored by 2.5. That defense, man, it's shutting down quarterbacks like Carson Wentz. I know that. The Commanders' last game didn't really prove to be any type of threat to the team that they played. I forgot who they played exactly. Who did the Commanders play? They played the Eagles, yeah. And I think the Dallas defense is a little bit better than the Eagles defense. So unless Carson Wentz has one of those incredible games this week, I think the Dallas defense is gonna show them who's boss and do enough to keep Cooper Rush comfortably in the win and win by like 7 to 10 points. I got Dallas in that game. Seattle at Detroit. Seattle is favored by no, actually Detroit is favored by 6.5. So maybe this is the game that Jared Goff goes out there and shows what he got. Gets the Detroit Lions back on the straight and narrow. I'm waiting to see till they get what's his name, Williams from Alabama back, man. I don't know how his knee is doing and what he is like on his recovery, but I heard that he is doing well. He's on the right track for coming back from his practice. But him and Amon-Ra St. Brown together with TJ Hawkinson, DJ Swift is injured. I think they're going to start Jamal Williams this week at running back, but he has been doing well. So I don't think that it's going to be a detriment to them. I do think they get this victory. Again, Geno Smith started week 1 out with a bang, but I don't think he's going to do what he did week 1 anymore this season, especially against the teams that he's playing, those defenses that he's playing. And this week, I think, yeah, Detroit's going to do what they need to do to get the victory and go to 2-2. Los Angeles Chargers at Houston. I think the Chargers actually right the ship in this game as well. They are 1-2 right now, but I think against the Houston Texans, Davis Mills isn't good enough to beat that Chargers defense, even though Joey Bosa did injure himself. I think he had a groin injury and he's going to be out for about at least 4 weeks. He did go on the IR. So they don't have him right now. And I do not think J.C. Jackson is back. So I think Khalil Mack is going to be able to hold it down, and the defense should still be good over there at the Chargers. Of course, they're going to be good enough to beat the Houston Texans. They're favored by 6.5 in Houston. I think they'll win that game. Tennessee at Indy. Indy is favored by 3.5 points at home. I think Tennessee gets back to their regularly scheduled programming, running the ball with Derrick Henry. They found the recipe last week by just giving him the ball in a whole bunch of different kind of ways, either handing him the ball or throwing him the ball on screen plays. All these defenders they're kind of scared to get in front of him. They're not going to jump at his legs because he'll smash them. They'll get stiff armed if they go up high. So he's gonna get 4 yards regardless, 4 or 5 yards regardless. Keep it simple for Ryan Tannehill, Treylon Burks. Robert Woods was able to have a game last game, do some things. I think he had about 85 yards and like 4 catches. So getting him involved, Treylon Burks involved, and keeping the ball going to Derrick Henry, I think they can get it going again. And the Colts aren't very good. They got lucky against the Chiefs last week, but I think Tennessee can actually get this game and get back to winning, or at least be 2-2. Next, we got Chicago at the New York Giants. I think the New York Giants are going to win this one easy. They're favored by 2.5 points. But yeah, Giants are going to have revenge in their eyes from last week, losing to their rivals, Dallas Cowboys, and go out there and handle business against the Chicago Bears, who can barely score on offense without running. Jalen Hurts barely throws like 15 times a game. So I think the Giants will be able to do what they weren't able to do against Cooper Rush last week and get that victory. Next, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Philadelphia 76ers. Philadelphia Eagles, which is going to be a great game. Damn, I didn't know this was on the docket. I'm just reading it and just kind of noticing. Philadelphia is favored by 6 points, though, which should be a good game to bet on, man, because Jacksonville has been out there doing their thing, like I talked about in the highlights of last week. So I don't know if Philly can get that by 6. So at least bet on that spread. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the over under is, but excuse me, y'all. But yeah, that should be an interesting game. Jalen Hurts and Trevor Lawrence going out there and doing their thing. 2 prolific Heisman-winning college quarterbacks. So that should be interesting. Next, of course, I'm going to pick Philly in that game. And I'm barely being able to do that just because I have AJ Brown on my and Devonta Smith on my fantasy team. That's why I'm picking the Eagles. I'm just riding with the Eagles this year for that. Next game, we have Jets versus Pittsburgh. I got Pittsburgh in that game. I think Zach Wilson may be able to come back, but If they have Joe Flacco starting, I don't believe in him, especially against Pittsburgh's defense. I think Pittsburgh got that game. They're favored by 3.5 at home, and I think the Pittsburgh Steelers will win that game. If Trubisky loses that game at home, I think they're going to be calling for Kenny Pickett, and I think Coach Tomlin will consider it. Arizona at Carolina. Carolina's favored by 1.5, but I don't think Arizona's going to go out to Carolina like that, and I think Arizona will win that game. New England at Green Bay. Ooh, Mac Jones is hurt, high ankle sprain, so it might be Brian Hoyer. Green Bay's defense is gonna eat that up, and they might go 3-1. Aaron Rodgers is gonna be his smirkiest self and just gonna be intolerable. They're favored by 8.5, and I think they might cover and win by more than that. Denver at Las Vegas. Las Vegas is favored by 2.5. Hopefully Vegas can win this game. I don't know if they will though, because Russell Wilson is bound to get it together sooner or later. But Las Vegas is favored by 2.5 at home. Maybe Derek Carr does get it together. Devontae Adams has been held to like minimal yards the last couple of games. I know a lot of people drafted him hella high in fantasy. So yeah, hopefully he does better this game. I'm not starting Derek Carr anymore. I'm starting Tom Brady from now on. Somebody dropped him in my fantasy league, and I think he's more likely to get it back on track than Derek Carr is, even though he's 45 and shit. And people shouldn't. Father Time hasn't tapped him on the shoulder yet, and I think this last season, I think he still has a little bit enough left to be a better quarterback fantasy wise and real life, obviously, than Derek Carr, and just give me more points. So that's why I'm starting him. But back to the game here. I think I'm hoping Sutton, again, going back to my fantasy, I hope Sutton does do well in this game. But I think Las Vegas does pull it out at home, because if they don't, I think there's going to be a riot out there in Las Vegas. 0-4. I don't think they can go 0-4. Kansas City at Tampa. We're not playing in Tampa this week because of Hurricane Ian has forced us to evacuate Tampa. We've been practicing in Miami, and I think we're going to play the football game in Minnesota. Still being able to keep that Sunday night game slot. The Kansas City Chiefs are favored by 2.5 points. Our offense is still not together. Mike Evans is coming back, but I don't know if we're going to have Julio or Chris Godwin. They were limited doing individual stuff at practice, but I don't know if they're actually going to be out there this week. We did get Cade Otton back. Shouts out to Cade Otton, because he is dealing with his mom passing away. He was away from the team for a little while from dealing with that. That's a very, very sad situation, and prayers out to him and his family. Welcome back to the team, champ, and hopefully he can go out there and have a really good game in his mom's honor, and just help us get the weapons we need to go out there and win that game. Kansas City, again, their weapons aren't like they had in the past when Tyreek Hill burned us for like 200 yards in the first quarter. Something crazy like that. That speed is crazy. It can change the whole dynamic of a game, a whole game plan. So with them not being on the team and receivers that are still kind of fast, but not as fast or as electric as Tyreek Hill, I think we'll be able to shut those receivers down. Again, our DBs have been doing great. So I think Kansas City will have some struggles with us, and I think our outside linebackers and our defensive line will be able to get home for sure, shut down their run, and be able to get home and sack Patrick Mahomes, or make him, worry about us enough to where he can make some mistakes and throw some interceptions. So I think we'll be able to win that game. And then Monday night, we got the Rams versus the 49ers, which is a big rivalry game, especially out here in California. The 49ers are at home, favored by 2.5 points. I got to ask around and see if any of my family or friends are going to that game, because that's a big game. I bet a lot of them are, but we'll see who's going to win that game. The 49ers usually have the Rams number. They beat them, I want to say 7 out of the last 8 times. Something crazy like that. And who knows what's going to happen. I feel like the Rams are kind of tired of getting beat, just like we were of the Saints, and actually could win this game. But I feel like seeing the last couple of games and the way the Rams played, I think the 49ers are able to get this game and remain the victors in this series, in this rivalry. Even though Jimmy Garoppolo had a crazy ass game last week, and I'm sure the Rams are going to try to pressure him and make him make those same mistakes that he made last week against Denver. So we will see what happens. But yeah, we'll take a little commercial break here. I know that was a lot of information for y'all, a lot of football, a lot of reviewing. But to go over my picks really quick, just so I can highlight those for y'all. I got I got Miami against this Thursday against Cincinnati. I got Minnesota against New Orleans over there in London. I got Cleveland when they play Atlanta. I got Cleveland. I got Baltimore against Buffalo. I got Dallas against Washington. I got Detroit against Seattle, the Chargers against Houston, Tennessee against Indianapolis, New York against Chicago, Philadelphia against Jacksonville, Pittsburgh against New York Jets. I got Arizona against the Carolina Panthers. I got Green Bay against New England, Denver against Las Vegas, of course, Tampa against Kansas City, and I got the 49ers against the Rams. I highlighted all these just so I remember. And if I don't, I'm going to save this paper and I'm going to let y'all know if I got them right or wrong last game, next week. I have no excuse this time. I have them right here in front of me. But now, let's get into this commercial break. I know it's a lot of information, like I said, let you guys take all that in, get you a refreshment, come right back. It's the Best of Bias podcast. We got some fantasy football to talk about, a little bit about my league real quick, and a couple of pop culture topics. And then we'll get you out of here so you can enjoy your Friday. Thank you for being here again. Thank you guys for always coming back. And if you're new, thank you for being here. And I hope you're enjoying it so far. I know it's sports heavy in the first half of this podcast, but it's sports season right now. But we will get you some pop culture to chew on at the end of the pod before we get up out of here. But yeah, it's the Best of Bias podcast. We will be right back. And we back. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming back. It's the Best of Bias podcast starring yours truly. You already know what it is. Let's get into this Best of Bias Invitational Week 3 results. Oh man. This fantasy stuff, man. I talk a big game, but in this Best of Bias Invitational, I'm not doing too well yet. That's yet, though, with an exclamation mark, because, I'm coming back. Y'all don't understand. I played two of the toughest teams in the league week 1, 2, and 3, and I barely lost in the Monday night game. I'm coming back. You know what I'm saying? There's 13 weeks. I lost 3. I'm gonna go on a streak. I'm probably gonna go on like a 9-game winning streak, and then you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna check in with y'all every week and let you guys know how it's really going down. But I'm pretty confident I can come through and make a comeback. These guys that are winning, they're getting lucky. They picked the Josh Allens early or lucked up into the Lamar Jacksons, and those 48, 50-point games by them is just carrying their whole team. Or they had their team's best week against me or some crazy bullshit like that. But it's going to change week 4. But let me get into week 3's results. I lost to unanimous 126 to 154. Tay, you did get me with the highest score of the week. Man, it's like every player that could possibly do a little bit of something who might have been doing bad last week decided to do a lot of something against me. I'm like, bruh. First, Jamar Chase is doing bad, fumbles, held to like barely any points. In the fourth quarter at the end of the game, he wants to score a touchdown and end up with 15. Like, Derrick Henry was getting held to like barely anything the first 2 weeks. Now he want to get like 150 yards or some bullshit, a whole bunch of catches and a whole bunch of rushes and a touchdown. Like, God damn, man, I'm not gonna make this about that, because when I make this comeback, y'all gonna understand that this is realistic talk that I'm talking. This ain't no bullshit. Y'all think it's bullshit and I'm just a loser. Y'all think that I was talking a lot of talk and I ain't really got it, but that, my bad. I didn't mean to make y'all bounce. But it's not like that at all. Shit's just been very unlucky for me. Dijon, Tampa Brady got rings 3-0, bruh. He won 132, beat John to 132 to 107. John is 0-3. Oh yeah, I'm 0-3 too. And Tay moved to 2-1. But yeah, Dijon, he's in first place right now. I told you he's my number 1 threat. I'm gonna say that every week while he's in number 1. But he did get kind of carried by Lamar this week. His team didn't really perform. Jefferson only got him like 4 or 5 points. Like Logan Thomas only got him a couple points, but Lamar Jackson got like 48 points. That's enough points for like 3 players, you know what I'm saying, to give you an average week. So he was carried by him, was able to stay in number 1, but he did win again, 132 to 107. Kyle's team, Bubsito Lou, moved to 2-1, or actually moved to 2-1 by losing to AU guys. Yancey got his second victory, winning 97 to 92. Future Vintage Jason lost to Sean's bold team, 129 to 108, or excuse me, 129 to 114. Jason, you got that win off me by 3 points. That should have been my victory. I'm pretty upset about that, but you did get that win. You're 1-2, just a couple of games ahead of me. I'll talk about the standings in a little bit. Sean, congratulations on that first victory, 129 to 114. D Nasty lost by like 2 points, maybe even 2.5, 1 point. Lost. Actually, it was 2 points. 110 to 108. Jeremy's ingenious team. Jeremy wins again, going to 3-0, 110, pushing D Nasty down to 2-1, 110 to 108. Your girl's favorite pizza boy, Deshaun, wins, gets another victory against Dak Ruined My Season, which is Damon, 112 to 93. So the low score of the week, possibly, who's that go to? Low score of the week goes to Damon. I forgot. High score of the week goes to Unanimous, beating me 154 to 126. And then the low score of the week, actually, excuse me, it's not Damon. It's Bubsito Lou. I'm sorry. Kyle, you had the lowest score of the week with 92 points. I apologize, Damon. It was you, Kyle. 92. You lost 97 to 92 and was the low score of the week. So Week 4 standings with Week 4 pending. We have Dijon 3-0, first place. Second place, we got Jeremy 3-0. Third place, we got Tay at 2-1. Fourth place, we got Kyle at 2-1. Fifth place, we got Derek at 2-1. Yancey's in sixth at 2-1. Deshaun is at seventh with 2-1. So you have a lot of 2-1 there stacked in the middle. So, the season can go either one way. You guys got to eventually play each other, coming back down to me because I'm moving up. You already know. We got Jason at 1-2 in eighth. We got Sean at 1-2 in ninth. Then you got John at 0-3 in 10th. Me, I'm 0-3 at 11th. And Damon is 0-3 at 12th. Telling you, we coming back. I ain't worried about it yet. If I go like 0-4, 0-5, then I can worry a little bit. I can just think it ain't meant to be this year. I do have other leagues, but we're not talking about those leagues. We talking about how I'm doing in this league. And yeah, I need to get this win. I played John this week. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to get my first victory over you, and it's going to be up from there. Look out. I'm getting my revenge. I play Kyle again. I'm going to get my revenge on you. I think I'll play Jason again. I'm going to get my revenge on you. Hope you guys have your buys. I have my team set up all the way through those games. You know what I'm saying? I'm prepared for this shit, man. And I'm showing you guys right now, I'm 0-3. I'm at the bottom of the bottom. You know what I mean? I'm going to move up to the top and I'm going to win this championship. All I need to do is make it to sixth place to make the playoffs right now. And then after I make sixth place, it don't matter who I play. I'm going to beat my first team in the playoffs. And then whoever got they bye, whoever played me, I'm going to beat their team too because my roster is stacked. It's just going to be me catching somebody on the right week. I know I played Jeremy's team when he has Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, and that Buffalo defense on a bye. So you're going to have to find something to do it with, do against that. You know what I'm saying? And if you ain't got that 40, 50 points with all of them, what you going to do? You know what I'm saying? It's going to put you back a week, especially against me, and that's good for the tiebreakers and stuff like that. So I'm going to make my way up there. I ain't saying I'm going to go 10-3, but I'm going to go something like that. I hope I don't go anything less than 9-5. I can't go anything less than 9-5, and that's what I'm striving for, and I will get there. You know what I'm saying? I keep checking in with y'all, and I do got a couple of guys that are trying to sign on and be on the podcast for like a 2-3 episode kind of deal. So look out for that. Again, I ain't bluffing. I do say a lot of things about guests and stuff being on the podcast soon, and they haven't come yet. But hey, man, they coming. I promise you. Everybody's excited about this stuff right here. The Best of Bias is global. It's not just that household name. We out here, Bay Area known right now. We getting out there to different states, but you know what I'm saying. We're gonna have guests. We have different topics for y'all. And we have a lot of stuff coming. But let's get into some of this pop culture really quickly here before we get you guys out of here. Just random, rapid fire topics out here that I've heard this week and some shit that's going on this week. Adam Levine. This man is wild, and you know him from Maroon 5. He's on The Voice or some shit like that. Was it The Voice or something like that? One of those singing shows where they coach somebody and they learn how to sing and shit like that. This fool is in the news right now for, I guess he was DMing one of his post side chicks. I think he's married now, and he cheated with her early in their relationship, and they kind of don't really. I guess he's saying he don't really cheat no more, and this is from way back in the past. But he sent her some DMs on some night saying that he's going to name his unborn child after her just because he liked her so much on some wild shit. And which, I don't know. First of all, you shouldn't be sending messages out there. This is Celebrity 101. I'm not a celebrity, and I already know that if you're married, one, and there's a girl out there that you had a relationship with in the past and don't got what you got now with your girl now, she's gonna fuck you over. I don't know why you thought that was gonna be something that was just gonna go by the wayside and you can just do it. I guess the girl's name was like Sumner or something like that, or some shit like that. And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna name my child when I have my kid after you, which is crazy. Which is really crazy. One, just because I don't know. You're a celebrity. You're Adam Levine. You should know this side chick is gonna do this. You should know this. I don't know if you gave her the super loving of her life and you thought, nah, you have the super lockdown on her lips and nothing can ever happen of it. But I think you're wilding out. I think you're wilding out. And to name your unborn daughter after a girl you were having sex with is kind of wild in the first place. I don't. Maybe he was joking, trying to make the girl feel good about herself, just to get some naked pictures or some shit like that. But he was wilding for that. I know you guys heard about that. Drop your feelings about that in the comments down below. I don't really know much on the subject. I don't really know Adam Levine all that much, but yeah, that boy was wilding. Ime Udoka, the coach of the Boston Celtics, being suspended for the whole year for having what's the word? Inappropriate relations with one of his co-workers of the teams, like one of the workers for the team he was having an affair with. She was married. He is famously dating Nia Long, has a kid with her. I don't know if they're married or not, but having relationships within a workplace is very frowned upon, especially with one person in the workplace is of a certain level, and as the other person's of a lower level. That's definitely frowned upon because this player or this coach could be promising the worker benefits that she could unfairly get an advantage over some other employees just because she's hooking up with the coach of the basketball team. That's just the reason why he got suspended for a year. Other than that, it's wrong in the first place. This man has a kid in a long-time relationship with the beautiful Nia Long. What the fuck is this guy thinking? Excuse my language. This guy's an idiot. I don't know who the lady is, but supposedly a lot of the people within the organization knew about the relationship. Some of the players even knew and just were keeping it under wraps for the coach. And it might even been multiple employees that he's had the relationships with. It's been piping down random ass workers for the Boston Celtics, which I don't know. He could have been doing it just because, not just because, but he'd be getting away with it. And the girls were actually doing it because he is famously the coach of the Boston Celtics, first time head coach getting to the finals his first year in Boston. His name was everywhere. He was looked at as like a god. So I don't know. They're looking at it as like maybe he used that advantage in his personality and his fame to get that advantage and hook up with these girls. And again, you can't be doing that. It's a bad precedent to set business wise. It is kind of crazy how they are publicizing it like the way they are. I've never heard this before, and I'm sure it's been going on within organizations for a long time, especially with like owners and stuff like that. I'm sure the owners can sleep with whoever they want to sleep with, and they don't even get that called out into the public or them even get suspended or anything like that, which is kind of weird I understand he's not supposed to cheat on his wife. Nobody's supposed to cheat on anybody. You know what I'm saying? That's just wrong. But it's like for them to publicize it and for him to get suspended for a year and for them to publicize it the way they did, it's just kind of wild to me. I understand fines or something like that, a verbal warning or some shit, but to get suspended for the whole year is just kind of wild. I feel like they were trying to kind of embarrass the man. And I feel like he's been nothing but successful there and brought, defense back to the Boston Celtics and brought a name back to him. And they got to the finals, you know what I mean? I feel like suspending him is just going to hinder the team. They made some good trades in the offseason to help them get back to the finals, hopefully, and actually win it if they have a chance. But now it's kind of messed up. Again, and also we heard Shaq's take on it. Shaq was like, I'm not going to comment because I'm famous for being a cheater. I'm not famous for being a cheater, but I famously cheated. I was a serial cheater and I got away with it a lot and I did it a lot. And it kind of was a detriment to my family. And I regret doing that, but I did do it. So I can't sit here and tell a man or talk down on him or be a hypocrite when I did the same thing. I'm a reformed man. But I feel like I'd be a hypocrite, and if I was to talk down on the man and talk about the situation, him or Adam Levine, it was kind of crazy. And he said I was really good at it, which was really weird. Shaq always got to throw some stupid humor into it, but yeah, I feel it. I kind of respect it, but either way, it's just you don't cheat on your significant other in any way, shape, or form. In my eyes, it's just it's bad. And it's gonna be frowned upon no matter what. But the whole public the public making fun of it and stuff like that is kind of wild. Um, and yeah. Um, but yeah, moving on from that, whatever's going to happen with that is going to be whatever shall be in a sense. But I don't really care about the Celtics as it is. They can lose every game for all I care, as long as the Nuggets win all the games in the NBA. It's fine with me. Next topic: Wolverine being in Deadpool in 2024. Hugh Jackman actually reprising his role as Wolverine. I don't know if it's actually going to be him in it or is it going to be like a cameo, but they're hyping it up like it's going to be an actual scene or actual thing with him in it. So hopefully he can be in it, or maybe the girl that was in Logan can like be in it as well and just kind of like take over as, because they're always ushering in the younger age of Wolverines, not Wolverines, just heroes in general. So maybe with her being in the fold, Logan introducing her as old man Logan could bring a Wolverine back into the movies and introduce the X-Men that way, because 2024 is kind of a ways away. So who knows if they'll already kind of be, introduced into the MCU yet, but it is an interesting announcement. Just one of the crazy announcements we heard from MCU today. Also, we heard that Blade lost its director, Bassam Tariq, less than 2 months away from the production, decided to leave. I guess there's a whole bunch of stuff wrong with the script that he didn't like, and there's a whole bunch of like, I don't know. He was in disagreement with, I guess, a lot of people in production, so he decided to leave. And this could hinder the film. It's supposed to come out on November 3rd of 2023, so it could mess up the whole release because we did get the scheduling of what shows was going to come out, what movies was going to come out, and what orders and stuff like that. So I think that is going to be a little hindrance. Hopefully they can get somebody to replace him kind of sooner than later. Maybe somebody like, Jordan Peele or somebody like that can just pop in there, have a script written, somebody black probably, because, Mahershala Ali is going to be Blade. So maybe, he can get out there and do something in reprise role, because we love the movie with Wesley Snipes back in the day. I did, but anyways, Blade 3 was super underrated. So hopefully the reprisement of it by Mahershala Ali can be cool. I'm waiting for that. I was really, with all the announcements that they made, I was waiting for Blade, and for it to be coming out November 3rd, which is next year, almost a year after Black Panther 2. So I'm pretty stoked about it. So hopefully they ain't gonna do nothing stupid and push it back, but hopefully I can get a director pretty fast, and get it back in production, maybe not mess with the script too much. They said there was like only 2 good fighting scenes, and even those scenes were bad. So the director was like, nah, I'm out of here. So hopefully we can get some more writers in there. Jordan Peele can come in there and throw something together. Not throw it together, because we need it to be quality. He has like over a year to get that out there. And yeah, I don't know how I felt about Nope that much. So I don't want him just to rush it. I want him to take his time, especially being his first film in the MCU. It got to be cool. It got to be cool, because Ryan Coogler came over and did some stuff with it, and everybody loves that. So we need Jordan Peele to come over here and do something cool. Lastly, in the topics that I got, Rihanna is going to be performing at Super Bowl 57 at the halftime show. Last year, we had an epic West Coast reunion of Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and all that stuff. This year, we have one performer. Well, I don't know if it's only going to be one performer, because she's going to bring out a whole bunch of guests, because she has a whole bunch of songs. I heard she was going to bring out a new song with A$AP Rocky. She's probably going to do all her stuff with like Drake, Eminem, all the famous songs. She got a whole bunch of hits. Everybody knows that. So she's probably going to do really well. It's going to be our first time seeing Rihanna in a long time. Yeah, she hasn't put out music in a while. She's just been on her fashion game, her lingerie and her makeup game, making billions of dollars. So she don't really care about the music too much, but she back, Super Bowl halftime show. Maybe she'll put out some new music and announce an album there. Who knows? But yeah, Tampa Bay is going to be playing probably the Bills. So I'll be watching, of course. But yeah, and that's about it for the topics, I think. What else? Yep, Super Bowl 57. That's it. We got to the end of the podcast. Is usually where I like to let them know where to find me at. Of course, it's SAC_Lydell on the Instagram, Patrick_Lydell on the Snapchat. If you're looking for the podcast on YouTube, you can go Best of Bias and you'll find us there. You'll see the bear. You see the faces all over the place. The faces all over the places, you know what I'm saying? And if you're looking for some of the merch, of course, hit me up in the DMs. I got hats, beanies, dad hats, truckers, bucket hats. Of course, got the t-shirts back there. New colors coming soon. New hat colors coming real soon. I got the blues, the yellows, a lot of the colors you ain't seen. I got those coming. New beanies and all that stuff. So be ready for that. Get you guys some Beautiful Struggle as well. BeautifulStruggle.com. Get you guys some workout gear, some hats, Essence as well. Check them out. It's a bunch of businesses my family got going on over here. So make sure to check those out. What else we got? More content coming soon. Of course, we got Amaya, Anissa, and Ashley A-Wash coming on here soon, getting some stuff out here. And of course, we got to talk some pop culture because Andor is out. A bunch of shows are out that I want to talk about. The Dahmer documentary, I haven't talked about that with nobody yet. So I got to get some guests out here to bounce some ideas off of so we can get a back and forth going. So it's not just me kind of rambling every time. I know I say that every time, but yeah, as of now, before the sports equinox hits in October, I'm going to be talking a lot of NFL and a lot of fantasy football and kind of sprinkling in the pop culture topics at the end so I can get you guys, those who don't really care about sports, still a little bit of something there at the end. But if there is something you guys want to hear, don't be afraid to hit me up in the DMs. If you want to be in the podcast, hit me up in the DMs as well. Just come on, so I'm down to spread the love. I'm down to have a conversation with anybody. You got businesses to promote, you got anything you guys want to talk about, just hit me up and I'm more than happy to have you on. It's the Best of Bias podcast. And it's like, this is the part of the podcast I like to let them know where they can find my podcast theme song at the end of the podcast. And it's right here. Y'all have a good Friday. Yeah.
It's the best of bias. You need the earful, you should try us. From pop culture to the movies to unite us. It's the best of bias. The best of bias. Yeah, it's the best of bias.
You are now listening to the Best of Bias Podcast.